Coming up on BCN today. Premier Jason Kenney heads to Texas this week to promote the province's energy sector. Plus, more than 300 dogs put their best paw forward at Exhibition Park this weekend, and the U.S. House Intelligence Committee prepares for the second week of public impeachment hearings.
Your Canada. Your Southern Alberta. Your stories. From our studios in the heart of Lethbridge, it's BCN Today with Jeanette Roche.
Hello, and thanks for joining us on this Monday. Premier Jason Kenney is heading to Texas this week to promote the province's energy industry. The government says Kenney will speak with investors and business leaders in Houston and Dallas to, quote, reaffirm Alberta's position as a critical supplier of energy resources to Texas and North America. The province says that Texas is Alberta's second largest export market overall, and Alberta's exports to Texas in 2018 totaled $11.5 billion worth of goods. Meanwhile, in a separate issue, Alberta's premier says there will be a free vote in the House on the private members bill that, if passed, would not allow health providers to be sued or sanctioned in any way for withholding services like abortion, assisted suicide, and contraception.
The answer is I haven't read the bill yet. It's a private members bill. The United Conservative Party will always have free votes on private members bills. And I guess it deals with the freedom of conscience, which is the first fundamental freedom enumerated in the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. It's also enumerated in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and virtually every human rights instrument around the world. And so there are two reasons why we'll have a free vote. One is we will have free votes on private members' bills generally, but we also passed a motion further to a platform commitment at the first week of this legislature to underscore that we will have free votes on any issues that touch on moral conscience, which is actually an ancient parliamentary tradition where MPs and MLAs, elected representatives, are not whipped to vote one way or another on matters of conscience. So we'll leave it to MLAs to make a decision. In due course, I'll take a look at that. I would just say, as a matter of principle, I've always been, and I would hope everybody, respects the constitutionally protected freedom of conscience, which is the first fundamental freedom enumerated in the Charter.
Meanwhile, the NDP in Alberta are calling on the provincial Auditor General to look into expenses of Premier Kenney's key principal advisor. NDP ethics critic Heather Sweet sent a letter seeking a performance review on the expenses of David Knightleg to ensure Albertans are getting value for their money. Sweet says Knightleg spent $45,000 over the past 6 months, including $18,000 for 3 trips to London. This is more than Notley's advisor spent in 4 years. Around 750 people gathered in a Calgary high school gym for a Wexit rally Saturday night. The leader of the Western Separatist Movement says he intends to run candidates federally under the name Wexit Canada, in addition to provincial candidates in BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba. Peter Downing says the hope is to hold future referendums on separation in those provinces. Downing says he plans more rallies later this month in Alberta, as well as in Saskatchewan in the new year. Dozens of people gathered in downtown Calgary yesterday to remember a caseworker who was killed on the job and to demand better protection for frontline workers. Deborah Onwu was stabbed to death on October 25th, and an 18-year-old she was caring for at an assisted living facility is charged with second-degree murder. Rory Gill of the Canadian Union of Public Employees in Alberta says part of the problem is the lack of support for vulnerable youth who are in care. Gill says it's concerning that many of the people who attended the rally refused to speak out about the abuse that they've seen because of fear of losing their jobs. Well, it's official. The Christmas season has started because a familiar tradition of the Salvation Army Kettle campaign is now underway. The organization has been helping the needy in Lethbridge for 121 years, and the local fundraising goal for this year is $150,000, which is, as Major Donald Bladen explains, it will hopefully be achieved more easily with the use of wireless debit machines.
100% of the money stays in Lethbridge and remains with the Salvation Army here to do the work the Salvation Army is engaged in. We do a variety of different youth initiatives throughout the course of the year, and we help, of course, the needy, the vulnerable, the working poor, anyone really without discrimination who would come to us and say, hey, you know, we have a need, can you help? So the debit machines are actually something that we've engaged this year. So I've asked for 3 of those to be delivered to me, and we're going to get those things operational on Monday of this coming week. And we're hoping, right, because to some degree we're a cashless society, and we're really hoping that people will engage those and really appreciate the fact that we're making that additional effort.
Donations can also be made online at fillthekettle.com. The call is out for people interested in becoming a TEDx presenter at the University of Lethbridge in January. The university is now looking for candidates to apply to be a speaker or performer addressing the theme of I am still learning.
Well, we're really excited. This is the first time the University of Lethbridge has hosted a TEDx talk, and it is ideally suited to the university. Our theme is I am still learning. And this is important for the University of Lethbridge. Lifelong learning is a journey, and we encourage our students and alumni, entire community to continue their lifelong learning journey. And also, it's a great opportunity for the community to share their big ideas, their strokes of brilliance, their performance. There's all sorts of ways to pitch a talk.
Those interested in applying to present at TEDx University of Lethbridge must submit an application form by Wednesday, November 20th. Lethbridge College was bustling with the sounds of kids over the weekend as families came out to take part in crafts, games, and dancing to celebrate National Child Day. The day officially falls on November 20th each year, but the college makes use of the weekend to allow families to make connections with local family services. Vicki Hazelwood explains.
Well, today we've had our National Child Day celebration, and we've had an excellent turnout of parents and children and caregivers from the community. National Child Day is celebrated across Canada November 20th each year. And it's about holding the rights of children, and we want to build awareness of how important children's rights are so that all of their basic needs can be met, their right to be safe, their right to be loved, the right to be heard and have a voice. Well, that's what National Child Day is all about. So today is raising that awareness and then also giving opportunity for parents and caregivers to connect with some of the services and programs we have in the community.
Over 300 dogs from about 50 breeds took part in a dog show at Exhibition Park this weekend. Ainsley O'Reilly explains the preparation that went into getting the pups ready for their presentation.
Dogs, dogs, and more dogs.
This happens to be the largest entry that we've ever had. So we have well over 300 dogs per day.
The Lethbridge and District Kennel Club hosted its annual all-breed dog show. Canines and their owners competed for who had the all-round most spectacular breed. They were also tested on obedience.
So they need to be going out and practicing. So they need to know how to stand, stay. They need to know how to move at a lovely gait. So it takes time, and I bring my puppies in. I start them, because I breed this breed as well. So I start them at 8 weeks old. They start to practice gaiting on a show lead and standing and looking pretty.
But what would brains be without beauty? Each dog was treated like royalty.
As a puppy, I usually spend about an hour and a half to 2 hours. When my boy gets into full show coat, like this little girl here, it's about a 3-hour drying job. So overall grooming can take about 4 to 5 hours, and we usually do it once a week to maintain the coat. Once a week, her nails are groomed. She's bathed about once a month to keep her coat. I do brush her, even though she's a short-coated dog, to keep the oils in her skin so that she's not flaky, and as well as being fed properly.
Lethbridge is the last stop for dog show goers in Alberta this year. It will decide who has the most total points out of all the shows for 2019. The festivities will be on until Sunday. For Bridge City News, I'm Ainsley O'Reilly.
Thank you, Ainsley, for that. It was a big day in Tabor Friday as officials held a sod turning for the Grasslands Tabor Cooperative's Premium Park project. That's a mouthful. It will also be Canada's first craft cannabis and hemp premium supply chain.
We're very excited to be working with the Tabor Grasslands Cooperative to bring this extraordinary initiative to Tabor. The town was approached in early 2019 with a project relating to the creation of a hemp and cannabis innovation center of excellence to be located in Tabor, based on the Danish food cluster concept. Our Economic Development Office saw this as an excellent opportunity for Tabor to lead the way in regards to hemp and cannabis research and development.
We couldn't have a better partner than the town of Tabor, who we've actually sat down and worked from 6 feet under right up to make sure we've designed our park in the way that allows us to have, for instance, a cogeneration facility that provides 15% less power to the cultivators in the park. And power for cultivators is their largest input cost. We've got great, plentiful, clean water, which is essential to growing.
Blackett said construction will have to wait until the ground thaws, likely in April. He added that most businesses are expected to begin operating in the facility in 2021. Along with shopping, you can now add skating to your downtown activities. A synthetic ice skating surface was installed in Festival Square in Lethbridge on Friday as part of the Heart of the Holidays events taking place. The rink will be operational from November 15th through the 24th and again from December 7th through 14th.
It's really exciting to be able to see a new initiative in our downtown core, hopefully one that will be received positively by our community. It's different. It's a synthetic ice surface, so we're not dependent on the weather, and especially with our Chinooks. That's always been a challenge when you try to have an outdoor rink, but to have something that's family friendly so folks can come anytime they'd like, bring their skates, go for a swing around the rink, and it should be lots of fun.
The outdoor skating rink is a partnership between the Downtown BRZ, the Heart of Our City Committee, and the Lethbridge Sports Council. It will be maintained for the public to skate on free of charge and will have additional lighting and seating. The executive director of AIDS Saskatoon says funding for what would be the province's first supervised drug consumption site is a no-brainer. But Saskatchewan Health Minister Jim Ryder will only say that he's going to review the proposal as part of the 2020 budget process. AIDS Saskatoon has already bought and renovated a building and is looking for $1.3 million from the province to pay for staff. Madison Yetman's video message from her hospital bed last month was for Canadians to vote in the October 21st federal election. On Saturday, her uncle announced on social media that the Winnipeg teen has died. Yetman's video made shortly after her cancer diagnosis at age 18 showed her holding up cards with handwritten messages saying that she managed to vote in advance of the federal election despite having terminal cancer. A message posted on Yetman's social media accounts yesterday said that in lieu of flowers, mourners should donate to the Nature Conservancy of Canada. Pardon me. The U.S. House Intelligence Committee is preparing for a second week of public impeachment hearings, including testimony from the man who may be the most important witness. He is Gordon Sondland, President Donald Trump's ambassador to the European Union. Testimony suggests he was intimately involved in discussions that are at the heart of the investigation into whether Trump held up U.S. military aid to Ukraine to try to pressure the country's president to announce an investigation to former Vice President Joe Biden. Investigators in California are struggling to figure out what prompted a 16-year-old boy to shoot 5 random students at his Santa Clarita High School last Thursday, killing 2 of them before turning the gun on himself, causing critical injuries, which he died from in hospital. Authorities say the teen had shown no signs of violence and did not appear to be linked to any ideology or terrorist group.
It still remains a mystery why, so I just want to encourage everyone, grab your kid, hold them a little tighter. We had an active shooter drilled just in the last few weeks at the school, and we had evidence that the kids ran as they were told to run. kids that barricaded themselves, they sheltered in place, they covered the windows, propped the doors shut, and they did exactly as they were trained, and that definitely assisted. And then when the time came to provide aid to those who were injured, they took them in and they provided first aid while they were waiting for our first responders. So as far as we know, that the actual targets were at random. There's no relationship that we can tell from the suspect and the victims.
No motive or rationale has yet been established for the subject's assault. Suffice it to say, we did not find any manifesto, any diary that spelled it out, any suicide note, or any writings which will clearly identify his motive behind this assault.
Mainly sunny, increasing cloudiness this afternoon, though, but we've got some rain turning to snow coming up tomorrow. Complete weather details are coming up right after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Here's a look at our weather highlights for today and tomorrow in Lethbridge. Today, mainly sunny with a high of 12 degrees, a low going down to only +2 overnight, not too bad. Tomorrow, though, we're looking at a mixed precipitation, really. We're going to have rain, and then it's going to turn into snow later on in the day with a high of 2 degrees. Looking ahead to the 5-day forecast, -1 for Wednesday with a mix of sun and clouds. Lots of sunshine in the forecast, though. For the rest of the week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we're going to be seeing highs of 4 degrees for Friday and 10 degrees for next Saturday. 7 degrees for Sunday with a mix of sun and cloud. So next weekend looking not too bad at all. The average high and lows for this time of year, average high should be around 3 degrees, average low around -8 degrees. The high on this day was in 1949. It was 17 degrees. The lowest temperature was -26. That was back in 1994. The sun rose this morning at 7:47 a.m. We'll be setting this evening at 4:45. Looking to the national forecast here on the west coast, Victoria and Vancouver will see some rainy spots today, a high of 10 in Victoria, high of 11 in Vancouver. Lots of sunshine up in Edmonton, also in Calgary, a high of 6 in Edmonton, and a high of 9 degrees in Calgary. So nice days throughout the province of Alberta today. Saskatoon, mix of sun and cloud with a risk of showers there, high of 5 degrees in Saskatoon, high of 6 degrees in Regina. They're going to be seeing a chance of snow mixed with rain, and same thing for Winnipeg, +5 with showers over there. Toronto, see some wet conditions over there as well, a mix of rain and snow, high of 3 degrees. Ottawa could see a chance of flurries as well with 0 degrees. Lots of sunshine though over in Montreal with a high of -2. Over in Fredericton, mainly cloudy skies with a high of +2 degrees. Showers in Halifax with a high of 9. Showers also expected today in Charlottetown with a high of 6 degrees, and 4 degrees over in St. John's, Newfoundland with a mix of sun and cloud. That is your weather forecast. Here's a look at what's coming up in your community.
Here's your Bridge City News Community Calendar. The Downtown Lethbridge BRZ is looking for volunteers to help with the Downtown Holiday Market taking place Saturday, November 23rd. Volunteers will be assisting with setup and takedown, handing out popcorn and hot chocolate, and the best job of all, helping Santa Claus. For more information, email Tasha at tasha@downtownlethbridge.com. Come for a festive evening to Crossroads Counseling's Shine the Light Christmas celebration and fundraiser on Friday, December 6th, beginning at 6 p.m. at the Coast Lethbridge Hotel. Enjoy a full-course dinner, a silent auction, and live musical entertainment featuring the Freedom House Choir, Westside Choir, and the Evangelical Free Church Praise Choir. Tickets are $50 per person and can be purchased at the Crossroads Counseling office. And that's your Bridge City News Community Calendar.
A plate of nachos is simply just corn chips if it's missing a key ingredient, grated cheese, of course. But what do you do if your grater is losing the grip on your cheese? Today's daily life hack, it comes to the rescue. Rub some sandpaper over the grater and wash thoroughly. The cheese will grip to the grater, allowing the cheese to pass through the blades more effectively. And that's your daily life hack. That's assuming we all have sandpaper laying around our house. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers have ousted the Saskatchewan Roughriders 20-13 in the CFL's West Division Final. Winnipeg's last Grey Cup win was 29 years ago. The Bombers will attempt to end that drought Sunday against the Hamilton Tiger Cats in Calgary.
I think there's some great lessons to be learned. We have a great opportunity to, as the players will pick over that film, we have a great opportunity to learn and take some of these lessons into the next contest, which is, I think, one of the things that our players have been good at all year long. Like, after the game, guys are coming up saying, I should have done this or I should have done that. They're enjoying the win with their teammates, but they also know that they could be one or two plays better. And that's important. They're going to keep learning right to the very end. Hamilton's a very good football team, so we got to make sure we stick to our process, our preparation, and try to avoid all the noise that a Grey Cup brings, and think about this as just a football game and not about the Grey Cup, which is tough to do.
Give credit to Winnipeg. They did what they had to do to win. But that locker room's hurting right now. We felt like we played good enough to win, and it was it's difficult to put it into words, but we're very disappointed.
It's tough, but we really shouldn't be here if we started off in the beginning of the year, right? No one expected us to be where we're at. We found a way to play together, a very talented locker room. My heart just hurts for a lot of those guys that I'll never get the opportunity to play football with again. Guys will be going to different teams, unfortunately, but that's kind of how this CFL is.
Music star Kanye West made an appearance Sunday morning at Joel Osteen's Houston megachurch, telling parishioners that his recent spiritual awakening has made him realize he's no longer in the service of fame and money, but in service to God.
I know that God's been calling me for a long time, and the devil's been distracting me for a long time. And when I was, in my lowest points, God was there with me and sending me visions and inspiring me. And I remember sitting in the hospital at UCLA after having a mental breakdown, and there's documentations of me drawing a church and start a church in the middle of Calabasas. And even after that, I went and made the Life of Pablo album. I said, this is a gospel album.
Last month, West released an album called Jesus is King, which is topping both religious and secular music charts. Scientists are looking for 10,000 pets for the largest ever study of aging canines. They're hoping the research will shed some light on human longevity as well.
She's a really healthy ager. When we go for walks, people ask if she's a puppy. There are a lot of really good reasons to carry out the dog aging project. People love dogs, and dogs age much more quickly than humans do. They die when they're much younger than we are, and so understanding how to keep dogs healthier longer is going to be good for dogs and good for the people who love dogs. The Dog Aging Project is going to recruit dogs of all ages, all breeds, purebreds and mixed breed dogs, males, females from every region in the country, and our goal is to follow them for the rest of their lives.
We are certain that a lot of what we learn about from dogs will apply to humans, and that we can learn about those things much more quickly than we'll be able to learn in humans, where similar studies are going on, but they take decades instead of years.
My research group particularly prefers to study pet dogs as compared to dogs in a laboratory setting, because pet dogs live in diverse environments and eat diverse food and have diverse exercise schedules, very much like their human owners.
There are lots of questions that dog owners have about how to make sure that their dog stays healthy for just as long as possible. We actually have a pretty limited idea about things like diet and how diet affects aging in dogs. What's the optimal diet? These are things that we can discover. We can also learn about how exercise and the kind of exercise that dogs do affects how well they age. So there are a lot of ways in which what we learned from the Dog Aging Project can actually give practical help to dog owners and their dogs.
I think we have a dog theme going on in our show today. The UK Department for Education says parents should be consulted on all LGBT issues in schools. The Department for Education has underlined the importance of schools consulting parents over the teaching of relationships education. The statement comes after the head of the Equality and Human Rights Commission, David Isaac, said parents should not be consulted about teaching LGBTQ issues in primary schools.
Parents are ultimately responsible for how their children are brought up and how they're educated, not the state. So it's right that the Department for Education is insisting that schools consult on these matters. And that also helps the schools to fulfill their legal duty to provide relationships education which is appropriate to the religious background of pupils. The fact is, there are some schools which do push particular viewpoints, and that's not appropriate. And consultation helps to guard against that.
That government also stated that schools must ensure their policy meets the needs of pupils and parents and reflects the community that they serve. Well, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau made headlines recently by saying that he may be open to changing Bill C-69, or as Premier Kenney refers to it, the No More Pipelines bill. Our parliamentary reporter Ray Fillion says that if we think that there will actually be major changes to the bill or not to hold our collective breaths.
But I got to tell you, as someone who's been covering Justin Trudeau as Prime Minister for 4 years now, he tends to always say that. Whenever we ask him, are you open to do this? Are you open to change that? His answer is always the same. If people have suggestions, I'm willing to listen to them. But in the end, they almost never change. So what I'm saying to those people across Canada who didn't like Bill C-69, don't hold your breath. I personally don't think it's going to change.
Fillion will also talk about how a conversation between Trudeau and Saskatchewan Premier Scott Moe did not go very well. That interview is coming up after the break, so keep it right here.